Hello, everyone. This is Amie Dean, and welcome to our Awakening Together live show. Now, this is going to be all about your dreams and how to make them a reality as a result of moving past fear. So, I want to invite you to set aside distractions and take some time with me to dive into this understanding that fear is what keeps us stuck. Fear is what keeps you from living your dream life, and that there is a way around this. So, I want to talk with you today. I want to say hello. If you could let me know in the chat where you are and any questions as we go along here. And I look forward to connecting with you. I'll just be checking back and forth here to see what it is you might be posting. And then in the meantime, I'm going to dive right in to our training today. So, as a reminder, actually, we meet every week, often, except for next week because I'm going to be out and traveling. But typically, I am here every week, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. So, I highly suggest marking your calendar if this is a time that works for you. And if not, you can always watch the replay later as well. But every month, we have a theme, and we are focusing in on a theme to help you awaken spiritually, to understand who you really are, and to break through any blocks that keep you from understanding and connecting with that true reality as to who you are. So, with that being said, this month is all about freeing up your mind around fear. So you can 100% tap into your dream life. And so if you already missed, or if you missed, some of our trainings a few weeks back, there are, I believe, three of them already, or two of them. This is the third. And in this one, we're going to kind of wrap up, summarize, and that way you get the full picture, even if you didn't watch the others. Although I still suggest you watch the other ones because there is a lot of really great, helpful information and exercises in those that can help you more deeply understand who you are and to gain clarity. So let's dive right in. Now, I would love to share a bit of a summary of what we have accomplished this month around this topic. So, we've talked about how to live your dream life and why fear is so powerful in the process, in the journey of trying to live in your dream life. So, a big part of our conversation was about how fear lives in your brain. We have this amygdala part of our brain, which is that smoke alarm. And the smoke alarm keeps us from being able to think from our logical, rational mind, which is our prefrontal cortex in the front of our brain. And so we get stuck and we get frozen even sometimes, and we just can't make choices, or we make old choices based on other subconscious reprograms, right, or programs in our mind. And we need to reprogram our subconscious in order to deactivate, this amygdala, and to help your body feel safe, right? I mean, this is all about the mind, body, spirit connection. Because if your body's not feeling safe, your mind isn't going to feel safe. If your mind isn't feeling safe, your body won't feel safe. And therefore, you will not feel that alignment with your higher self. And so, what we're looking at here, I mean, maybe we can even talk about why we even want to move into this direction of living your dream life. Like, what is the reason? What is the cause? And I would say, for many of you, that it's likely due to wanting to live a happier and more fulfilling life, I would imagine, right? Where you feel like you are making an impact, you are making a difference, you are on track with your purpose, and you understand more fully about who you really are, so that you can step into this understanding that we're all one and that we're all connected. And so that sounds so big, it sounds huge, but we can just start with baby steps here, because you are made for this. I like to say we all have a soul contract or agreement. And this is an agreement that designs our purpose. We designed it before we came here, before we incarnated from this perspective. And now that you're here, there's this often this seeking that happens, right? Well, how do I get there? Or what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Or what am I supposed to be focusing on? And the interesting thing is that what's keeping you stuck most of the time, right, is fear. Fear and I can't and I shouldn't, and that inner critic in your mind too, which typically is driven by fear. So, fear is the foundation. It is always the foundation. So, knowing that, we just want to aware because self awareness creates change. It's the first big step towards change, in fact. And also, after we've defined that, okay, got it. So we've got fear, and fear is the major cause. Now we want to understand a bit more about intuition. So I did talk about this as well in previous trainings this month, but just as a quick summary, there is the two different things happening in your mind. There's your ego and then there's your intuition. Now, your ego is split up into what I call subpersonalities. So these are parts of you, such as your inner critic, as I mentioned, such as a fear based part of you that might be really anxious or in panic, thinking about this next step to your purpose. And then there might be a part of you that's a perfectionist or a part of you that is trying to control your life in some way. So these are all parts of you. They are also personalities within the subsystem of your ego, right? So none of them are you. In other words, this is just a protective aspect of your mind that is 100% not who you are, but it is just an aspect of your reality. So then your intuition is the channel from which your higher self delivers wisdom. And therefore, we want to trust our intuition, right? We want to connect with our intuition. And intuition is what guides you towards knowing and living your dream life. Because if you're disconnected from your intuitive self, what's going to happen is you're going to be overrun by these different subpersonalities, right? They're going to be driving the car of your life. And you're going to find that you have little to no control, even though that's what these parts are trying to regain in your life. And you're going to get stuck in a hamster wheel of sorts. And so the idea here is that as we release fear, as we move through the fear struggles and fear thoughts that come up, then you are making more space for your intuition to come through. So many people come to me and they say, well, how do I trust my intuition? And how do I understand what it's really trying to tell me? And the truth is, your intuition is always here. Your intuition is always present, but fear keeps you from seeing it. Even fear of our intuition. For example, sometimes we'll get an intuitive hit of something and we don't really know it's intuitive in the moment. And then this fear comes about as a result of, oh no, what does that mean? And we start to interpret it through our ego mind. And then we get so stuck in this problem solving, in this, feeling that we just can't make progress. So that is the sticking point. So let's move through it together. And what I also mentioned last time before we dive into these 5 simple ways to move past fear, which is our topic for today, is I talked a bit more about how you want to identify your intuition. What does your intuition feel like? What is it as you get a sense in your body? What does that felt sense like? Do you get that gut sensation? Do you get that feeling sense? I know for me, it's more of a feeling of it's almost like an overall feeling in my body that it's guiding me towards something, it's pulling me towards something or pushing me away from something. Or sometimes I'll get these, thoughts letting me know about something that's going to happen in the near future. And, that might be hard to decipher in the moment to know if it's intuition. So tracking that and discovering, how often do these thoughts in my mind, and not these ruminating thoughts, right? But these kind of like subtle thoughts that come in, but you notice them and they're obvious and they might be connected with a sort of emotion inside too, like an aha or a gut-wrenching sense or something like that. And if you can track that, you can see how often does that actually come true for me? How often does that happen? And if you can start tracking that, then what is so incredible about this is that eventually you get to a place where you can say, okay, all right, well, I know what my intuition is and I know what fear is, and I can understand the bigger differences here. So now let's dive into these 5 simple ways to move past fear and to live your dream life. So they're simple, but not necessarily easy, especially one of them. So just be aware that we have to be open and we have to be curious about our inner experience before change can happen. So I heard this and I can't remember exactly, which video it was on, but it was a beautiful webinar about how emotions are very different than the way we think they are. So many people think that emotions are like a cave where you go into the cave and there's no way out and you are stuck in this darkness and there's scary things all around you. And if we just go into our emotion, we're going to get stuck in this cave of them. And then the opposite is actually true. And that is that every time you go inward, every time you are open enough to look at your inner world, you'll see that your emotions are a tunnel. So that means there is a light at the other end of this tunnel. And I like to say that as you're moving through this tunnel, right, there is darkness and uncertainty, and you're not really sure if you're going to get to the other side, but you always do, because emotions have a shelf life. They don't exist in and of themselves. They are temporary. They are moving constantly in your body and in your mind. So, knowing that means that even though fear in itself is scary, I know it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about, but there is fear-based parts of you in there that are afraid of other fear-based parts of you. So that's a conundrum, I'm sure you can imagine, but it's just a very simple process to be able to look at these different aspects of your inner world and start to make some changes. So let's actually look at what those are. So the first thing is you need to calm your nervous system first and foremost. So step one is to take 3 deep breaths. And I love the cycle of breaths, and there's no right or wrong way here, but it could be 4 breaths in, and then you exhale out to the count of 7. Now, the reason that works so well is because as you're breathing in, you're not taking in too much oxygen, but you're releasing out on the exhale, which soothes your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that is connected to that feeling of calm and ease and connection with others, and not the fight or flight nervous system. So if you take in too big of a breath and you find that you're kind of like hyperventilating throughout the day, if you're taking in a lot of air, then you're going to activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. So it's so important to start to say, how am I breathing? And I know it's so simple, and we often get these tips and we just kind of push them aside a little bit, but it is really important to say, what is my breath like? And you can track them with different breath trackers. You can use, heart rate monitors, like Fitbits or Apple Watches and things, to see what is happening with your breath, what is actually showing up. So that would be step one. Let's start to make some shifts in the way you breathe, in the way that you relate to your body and your breath. And then step number 2. So this is to write your fears down. Very, very, very helpful. Write them down and to have a worry box. Now, this could be any kind of box, any kind of container, could have a lock on it or not, but you're going to use this worry box as a way of basically creating more of a sense of leadership within. You're not saying, I'm throwing these fears away and I'm not addressing them. What you're saying is, you know what, there are parts of me right now which are worried, and I want to validate that in this moment and have compassion for myself in this moment. And now I'm going to write down what those worries are. I'm going to put it in the worry box, and you're going to leave it there. And you're going to make an intention that as you put them in there, you do not have to do anything with them. Unless, let's say, you choose to take something, one of the pieces of paper out of your worry box and choose to maybe try to take some action towards making things better, if that's possible. But many worries are, like all of our human worries, right? About loss and loss of control and not having the ability to make change in the way that we want to. And so that creates chaos, right, in our mind. So having this worry box can be so useful for you going forward. And so that would be step 2. Now, step 3 is, and this may sound simple, but very powerful. So you place your hand on your heart and you say, I am doing the very best I can right now. When you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling fearful, right? All of these are connected to the fear response in the mind and in the body. I am doing the best I can right now. This deactivates your amygdala response in your brain. It's a very proven way to get in touch with the compassion within your own heart and to regulate your emotions. So, just doing that every day, every moment you get triggered, you're going to start to shift the way your nervous system feels and you'll feel more in tune with yourself as a whole. Number four, this is all about getting curious. Who is feeling fear within me? Or which part of me feels fear right now? It's a really interesting question because you are not your fear, right? As we've already talked about. So there are parts of you that are harboring or are burdened by these different fears. So it's important to get curious and to, even if it feels safe enough to do so, obviously if you've had a lot of trauma, you might want to do this with a mental health professional and or somebody that feels safe to you. But just start to, it's almost like investigating it. You're investigating the fear. What does it feel like inside? What do I feel as I allow it to be? What is it like if I almost metaphorically get a magnifying glass and put it up to that fear? What's it like to be with it? So that is the journey towards going through that tunnel that I spoke about earlier and getting to the other side of the light, which is where you are 100% more in connection with your intuition. And then from there, of course, the information for how to live your dream life comes effortlessly to you. So then there's number five. This is to make an intention statement. So I recommend, having a piece of paper, to write this down on or whatever makes sense to you. Write it on your mirror, whatever helps you. But this can be powerful just in itself. Something like, I choose love over fear. I choose love over fear. And just repeating that several times every single day. You might also, if you want to transition and use a different intention statement, you might say, I am living my dream life, or I am moving towards my dream life, if that feels, more attainable. I am moving towards my dream life, and having that where you can see it, because our intentions mean everything. They mean everything. Everything we do every day, we are making intentions about, whether or not we know we're making those intentions. So let's start to move towards love, move towards your intuition and away from fear. Now, I would love to answer any questions if they arise. And if not, I can always answer them later. So please, even if you're listening to the recording, by all means, let me know in the chat. And then I want to share just one more thing with you, which is that here in our living community, our awakened community, we have this opportunity to come together as a collaborative community, to be there for each other, to help each other. And so what I want to offer is a very special awakening transformation call with one of my team members, and it's 100% free. It's totally complimentary to all group members. This is where you discover your inner blocks. This is where you discover those subconscious, those karmic blocks that are keeping you stuck. Because if you've tried all this, and please do try all this, then it is important to note, is it working? Is there something here that I'm missing? And many people come to me, and many of my clients will say, I'm so tired of seeking. Like, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of not having the answer. I just want something straightforward. And so that's what this call can do for you. It can help you get the answers that those parts of you are seeking. And then from there, you'll have some personalized tools and resources for your journey. So please do take advantage of this. Often the calendar fills up very quickly. So please make sure to book when you can so you don't have to wait too long for an appointment. But also let me know if you have any questions about this. I will post my link here and in the actual Facebook, let's say, post instead of here on the actual video. And you can look for it there to get started. And I look forward to connecting with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I will be with you. I believe our next training is April 12th. I'm going on vacation for a little while, so when I come back, I'll have lots of fun things to share, and then we will dive right into the spring together. So I look forward to it. Enjoy, and I will see you all in April. Take care, everyone.